Yes, another AEW Women's figure to review. But, shall I wait to review it? Or do I review it today? Considering these figures are months apart, I want to savor this moment. I don't know what to do.
Oh no, Timeless Mayor Aaron is back. See you later.
No, don't you leave me, Come Alexa. Don't you dare leave me. I need your advice. Shall I review this Jamie Hayter figure today? Here's the deal. It might be many moons before another woman's figure arrives from AEW.
Just review it. Soraya will be here next month. Chill out. And quit becoming a weirdo. Every AEW figure review.
Oh, a weirdo! I cannot help myself. This is who I am when my inner emotions soothe through my pores. You see, I love the AEW Women's figures. They do such an amazing job, but time and time again, they have hurt me so bad that my inner self has to be expressed.
Well, you want to know what I think about this gimmick?
Well, in the words of the immortal Clark Gable, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Okay then, I guess I'll be leaving.
Oh, well be careful, Come Alexa. When a distressed Timeless Mayor Aaron arrives, you must watch out.
Watch out for what?
You must watch out for the shoe.
The what?
Yeah! The shoe.
That's it. You're dead meat.
I'm sorry, don't hurt me. I'm sorry. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get started, I just want to remind you to please hit subscribe to become an official resident of LJV and get a first look at all future women's wrestling figures. Also, if you subscribe to this channel, you support women's wrestling figures. I'm trying to start a movement here. Use hashtag more women's figs. There's been a real lack of women's figures across the board, but that's a topic for another day. Today, I am here to review AEW Unmatched Series 9 Jamie Hayter. Now, I'll be honest, they just released a couple days ago mint on card photos of this figure, and I did not think it looks good. However, having it in hand, I'm actually really excited to review this figure because I think it looks great. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at this figure, starting with the packaging. Alright, so let's start off taking a closer look at the packaging here. Now, the unmatched and unrivaled packaging hasn't changed since the start of the line a few years ago, and I actually think that's cool. You know, I understand the Elite's always changing packaging, but usually they change them for the worse, in my opinion, as far as Mattel and WWE go, whereas here with AEW, I think they have the best packaging out there in not just the wrestling figure game, but in the action figure game. I absolutely love how the AEW Unrivaled and AEW Unmatched figures look MOC, and here, no different. This figure looks beautiful. Mint on card with this unmatched line. We have the black with silver accents as the theme, and then we have the blue backdrop, and it just looks good. It looks so good. And what's really cool here about Jamie's figure is the image on the front. They were trying to replicate that pose the best they can on a bubble, which I assume is pretty hard to do, and they do a pretty good job. So this figure looks really, really cool, MOC, and yes, just looking at it from outside the package, we'll wait till I open it up and take a closer look at the face, but it does look better than those images that they posted on Ringside. I don't know who took those photos, but woof, they were not the best. She looked like China wearing a wig in those photos on Ringside, but here, the figure looks good. I love how it's displayed in there. Love this image of the beautiful Jamie Hayter on the front. We have her name on the side, number 71, Series 9. On the side, we have that image a little smaller here. And on the back, we have an image that's actually from this night. Sometimes they get the date wrong on the back of the box and the attire that the figure's depicted in. But here they nailed it. This is from Full Gear 2022, where Jamie won the championship. So yeah, they did an excellent job here with the packaging, the details, and it looks really cool mint on card. Now we're going to open it up. And I always make a massacre of the situation, but you know what? We're gonna go for it. We are just going to go for it. We're gonna do the bottom here. All right, we're gonna slice the bottom. Okay, the bottom tape is sliced. All right, so then we have that, and then you know what? I'm just gonna massacre the package. That's just how it goes. It's just how it goes. I mean, these are those figures that's really hard to keep the box MOC once you open it up. But I'm going to take this figure out. We're going to take a closer look. AEW Unmatched Series 9 Jamie Hayter. This attire is from the AEW Full Gear 2022 pay-per-view, which took place on November 19th. On this night, Jamie would defeat Toni Storm to become the interim AEW Women's World Champion. Some overall first impressions of this figure. This figure is amazing. And we haven't even taken a closer look at it. And I am so excited to take a closer look at this figure and look at it piece by piece, part by part, because you can tell that they really went all out on this Jamie Hayter figure. And I think they did a spectacular job here. And yes, it looks much better in person than those MOC images on ringside. And I know I keep saying that, but I can't stress that enough that this figure does look a lot better in person. Now, as far as the accessories that she comes with 2 closed fist hands. The hands she has that comes packaged with are semi-open. They're not really grasping hands. They're kind of semi-open, so they can't really hold things too well, but that's okay. They look really good. We'll look at those later. And then she also comes with a new, updated AEW World Women's Championship. Now, I say updated, and I'll show you why I say that. So here we have this nice gold color that pops, and you can actually read the text on the title. It says Women's World Wrestling Champion. Clear as day. You can really read that text. And if you go to that Thunder Rosa from the Champions 4-pack, or you go to Toni Storm, my last AEW Women's figure review, and you look at that title, the title is a much more muted gold. It's not as, I don't know how to say it, shiny gold, right? It's more of a muted color, and if you look at the lettering, Women's World Wrestling Champion, it's all blurry. It looks kind of sloppy, almost like a custom. And this is how the Thunder Rosa title belt also was in that 4-pack. So here, we got an updated title. The gold pops. It stands out. It looks amazing. And on top of that, you can read clear as day what it says there. And honestly, I'm just going to say this. This might be my favorite toy title that I have in my collection. Of all the women's championships I have in my collection, this might be my absolute favorite. I just think the detail here is nice. The gold really pops, and I love that you can read what it says. This is a beautiful title. I absolutely love it. So, without further ado, let's take a closer look at the figure, starting with that face sculpt, face scan, and hair. Alright, so as far as the face scan, face sculpt, and hair sculpt goes, I think it's great. I definitely think it's an upgrade over her previous figure, Unrivaled Series 12, and I thought that one worked just fine, but I think this one looks even more like Jamie. Now, some people may say it looks a little cartoony, that it's not perfect, but to me, I think they did an excellent job here. I really do. I think looking at it from different angles, it looks pretty darn good. Even on top of that, if you look close, it's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but they gave her the eyeshadow properly. She has eyelashes printed on there. So, in my opinion, they did a good job here with the face scan and the face sculpt. I think it looks good. The only thing is, I wish it was a more emotional sculpt, maybe a post-match sculpt when she won the title with her mouth open, just to have some kind of emotion here, because this emotion isn't much, but I think it does a good job of resembling her. Now, what I really think stands out is this excellent hair sculpt and the paint that they went with here. So on this night, she had kind of blonde highlights in there. In the original images, I guess they were 3D rendering images of this figure, she just had blonde in the bangs. But here they decided to put some blonde streaks all throughout and make it more accurate to that night. And I think that is an excellent choice. And just turning this figure around, looking the intricate hair sculpting we have going all over the place, it looks excellent. It looks really, really good. I love the blonde streaks going through. I think that's a nice little addition. And yeah, so I want to know what your opinion is in the comments about the face sculpt and scan, but I think it's pretty dang good. I really do. I think it's close to being perfect. It might be a tiny bit off, but I will say that I only ordered one of this figure. Usually I order at least two, and I review the best one, but I just ordered one. So I do have two more coming because I like this figure so much. So maybe I'll regroup if that scan is even better than this one. But I think this one does a good job, and I think it looks pretty darn good. All right, so moving on down to the body sculpt and the attire. Now, this is where the figure absolutely blew my mind, honestly. Now, I am going to say the one critique that I have right off the bat is they might have made her skin tone a little too tan. It's really not that noticeable. It's a small little nitpick, but she might be a little too tan on this figure, to be honest with you, compared to that night in the images that I looked up here. But as far as the body sculpt and attire goes, the sculpt is perfect. I mean, it's a perfect sculpt, and same thing goes with the attire. And we haven't even turned this figure around and really taken a closer look, but the attention to detail that Jazwares and AEW does on their women's figures, for the most part, is untouched. It's unmatched, if you will, right? Because a lot of the women's figures, they give unique detailing and sculpting to their attires, to their midsection, to their chest, to their backside. And that, to me, is pretty freaking amazing, and something that Mattel's not very good at. We still haven't gotten a unique torso for Bianca Belair, for God's sakes, right? That's just one of many examples that they tend to kind of take the easy route sometimes, Mattel does. But here, I think they did such an excellent job with the body part choices, the sculpting. It's a work of art, in my opinion. It really, really is. Now, taking a closer look at everything, the first thing I noticed about her hands, she has her fingernails painted black, but she also has a little heart tattoo on her finger. I mean, that is such an amazing detail. It's easy to overlook, but that looks excellent. Now, as far as the rest of the attire goes, there's a lot to cover here, so bear with me. On the right forearm, we have this pattern in orange painted on with some silver lines. On the left forearm, we have this unbelievable, unreal, I don't even know what to call this. You need to see this figure in person because the camera's not doing it justice. It's like this glimmery, shimmery, glitter type color. It's like kind of rainbow reflective. It's amazing. It's probably the best paint application I've seen on a women's wrestling figure, honestly. It just looks fantastic. Now, moving on to the top here, we once again have that real shiny, kind of metallic-y, I don't even know what it's called, but it looks freaking gorgeous. And like I said, the camera's not doing it justice, I promise you. When I saw this figure mint on card, when I got it in my possession, I was blown away by how freaking cool it looks and how it's very accurate to that night. And that's the amazing thing, is it looks really accurate. Now, besides that awesome paint application there and on the straps, we have so much sculpting going on the top. As I mentioned before with a lot of the AEW women's figures, we have a lot of unique sculpting, straps going across, studs sculpted on. We have this buckle sculpted. We have a little choker sculpted that goes around that's part of her top. Moving it around, I mean, look at this detail, y'all. Like, I love reviewing AEW women's figures. That's why I'm so hard on the line sometimes, because it's frustrating. They do such a good job. I want to see more. I want to see what that Abaddon looks like. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of sculpting going on back here. A lot of detailed paint application there. Looks really, really good. Now, the one thing I will say that's a little funky is this upper torso piece that moves. We have a little bit of her midsection up on there, and I kind of wish that that would have been the border of the top, but I'm sure they had their design choices, and I'm no figure designer, so that's just something I point out that kind of looked a little weird. Toni Storm had something like that on her chest that looked a little strange, but here it's really not that strange looking, just something I noticed. But once again with the sculpting, we have these little silver buckles sculpted on. We have sculpted straps going all the way down into her bottoms there. Now the bottoms have some sculpting in there, like these straps on the side. We have that strap coming down, but for the most part, it's painted detail, and the painted detail here is unreal. It's unbelievable in my opinion. These straps have that, once again, amazing silver metallic rainbow type color, whatever that is, applied to those three sculpted straps, which looks great. We also have that color again on the right side of the leg. We have the orange pattern on the front, on the side, and on the back side here. Now, as far as body sculpt goes, I'm just going to say it, you know, they do a good job with a lot of the women's figures. It started with Ty Conti, really, and they did a good job here with the backside sculpt of Jamie. Not trying to be weird, you know me by now. I just think it's really cool when they give the women's attributes justice in figure form, and I think they did a good job here with Jamie. Now moving on down to the legs here, we have even the border of the bottoms here are sculpted on with a lot of paint detail. We have a tattoo on her right thigh with the sculpted strap going around that is sculpted onto the leg mold, so it's not removable. Moving on down, we have black sleeves painted underneath these black and orange knee pads on the left knee. And on the right, we have that, once again, that amazing color. I don't know what color that is, but it looks amazing. And then we have sculpted boots with really good detail. 3 straps going across, silver buckles sculpted on. I mean, wow. That was almost a 5-minute section just covering the body sculpt and the attire. But to be honest with you, I could have gone even longer. The body sculpt and the attire is that freaking good. So now let's do a little side-by-side comparison. Now, yes, I could compare this new Jamie Hayter to her Unrivaled 12 figure, but I'm going to go with the Unrivaled 12 Rare Edition because I did open one up and review it on the channel, so I have it. Why not? It's the exact same figure as the regular line release of Unrivaled 12, except we got this real fancy black plastic coat. So I did want to compare these two figures. Taking off this jacket here, you could see right away that the skin tone on this new one is a lot more tan. Now, I know this is going to sound like a cop-out, but I do have trouble with skin tones and colors, being colorblind. And I don't know if she was this tan on that night, but it is quite tanner than her original figure here. Maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not. I don't know. That's just something I noticed. Once again, not a big deal. I just noticed that that is a major difference between her original figure and the one we're reviewing today. And to be honest with you, this Unrivaled 12 figure, if we're taking a closer look, I thought this figure was freaking fantastic, and I still do. I think it's an amazing figure. And once again, look at all the freaking detail that went into this figure. The only thing I didn't like about it was the only thing that separated this Unrivaled 12 figure from the rare was this jacket. It's all we got for the rare version. But either way, I digress. Now let's just zoom in and take a closer look at the faces. So just like her Unrivaled 12 face, there's not a whole lot of emotion there. And I actually thought the Unrivaled 12 Jamie did a good job, did an okay job of capturing her likeness, but I actually think today's likeness is better. I think it is better. You have to let me know in the comments which one you like better, but I think today's is actually a lot better now that I'm looking at them side by side. I think today's sculpt and scan looks even better when comparing to her previous. I really do. But yeah, so her previous figure was really, really good. It really was. I think it was a truly underrated figure, as a lot of the AEW women's figures are, to be honest with you. But if you had to choose a Jamie Hayter to have in your collection, go get this new one. I cannot say enough good about this thing. I mean, wow. So now let's cover articulation. Now, I'm just going to get this out of the way. The one thing that drives me nuts that I cannot stand, that I hate about the articulation of the AEW Jazwares figures, is they have like an extra hinge at the neck. So just having it on a ball, you could still move it in all directions and up and down, but having it on that hinge allows it to like roll forward, which is an unnecessary movement, and it makes it really difficult when the head falls off to put the head back on that peg without the peg going all wonky. So it makes it really difficult. I don't know why they have that joint, honestly. I wish they'd get rid of it. Also, it kind of looks bizarre when she's looking up. You can see that joint right there, but either way, she has really good head movement here, can go in all different directions. Her shoulders on a ball joint can move in all different directions. Just like the AEW Jazwares figures, we have a little bit of a ratchet type joint that clicks into place very nice. We have an upper arm swivel, double jointed elbows, maximum flexion. We have hands that can rotate. We can wrists that can flex up, wrists that can extend. We have that upper torso swivel, which can move a lot actually. We have that swivel at the waist. The hip is on a ball joint, can move in all different directions really well, actually. We have an upper thigh swivel. We have double jointed knees that can really, really flex. We have an upper boot swivel, and then as far as the feet go, they can go down and they can go up. They can't really, well, yeah, they can rock a little bit side to side. So the articulation is phenomenal. I just can't stand that extra neck joint that they have. So overall, I give AEW Unmatched Series 9 Jamie Hayter an overall score of a 9.8 out of 10. Now, hear me out. I know people are going to be real confused with that score, but this is one of those figures that you have to be holding in hand to truly appreciate all the detail and effort that went into it. I think it is freaking fantastic. Now, I wanted to give it a perfect 10. I wanted to give it a perfect 10 score. I was so set on doing it. However, I think there's going to be a lot of debate over the face scan and sculpt. I think some people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to like it. And some are going to be somewhere in between. I actually like it. I think it's good. And that's why it got such a high score. But I think maybe it could be a tad bit better, and if that sculpt and scan was a tad bit better, it would be an easy 10 out of 10. I think it's the best AEW women's figure to date, and in my opinion, my humble Mayor Aaron opinion, I think it's the second best women's wrestling figure I've reviewed all year, right behind the Ultimate Edition Asuka. And that says a lot, because I'm not a huge fan of AEW. You know, I support all wrestling, all pro wrestling, and obviously I support all women's wrestling figures. But AEW, over the last couple years, their poor decisions in booking the women has kind of turned me off to AEW. I still watch and support the women. However, it's been a hard watch, so I'm definitely more toward the WWE side. But like I said, I support all of it. I just had to throw that out there because even though I'm not a huge fan of AEW, I still think this figure is the second best figure I've reviewed this year, and I really mean it. I mean, I know some people watching are going to be confused by that score and maybe not agree with it. It's my own personal score, but I'm telling y'all, if you haven't ordered this figure, go to Ringside Collectibles, use code LJV to save 10%, and order at least one of them. I mean, I only ordered one because I didn't expect much. I thought, oh, Jazwares is going to cut corners on this Jamie Hayter. Here we go. I'm just going to order one. I made a mistake, y'all, and I'll admit that mistake. And as soon as I opened this up, middle of the review, I actually went to Ringside and ordered two more. One to keep MOC, and one to display for figure photography, because this figure freaking rules. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. To get a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Head on over to ProWrestlingTees/LumberJillville to check out the merch shirts. Use hashtag MoreWomen'sFigs whenever you post on social media. And use discount code LJV at checkout at Ringside Collectibles to save 10% on your next order of women's wrestling figures. Now, I think it's going to be my next video. It's going to be kind of a step-by-step process as to how I made a figure custom. The figure custom I made is Zelina Vega as April O'Neil. There was a lack of female representation in the upcoming WWE Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line, and I thought Zelina would be perfect. So I had a lot of fun making this custom. I'm not a very good customizer, but I took a lot of time on this, and I'm going to have a video kind of going through the steps and kind of my thought process, and I'm really excited to make that video. It's going to be different than other videos I've done, but either way, stay tuned for that. Now, with that being said, thanks for watching, and have a great night, y'all.